Europe really suffers from gloomy days. We can swim 6-9 months of the year. We speak English, we have huge business benefits. So all of that brings and attracts a lot. Today we're going to go to Blue Lagoon through this digital twin, and you're going to really be able to understand it in its entirety.
Comino, Malta's third practically untouched island. Jonathan Mizzi, a leading architect, has come up with a vision for the future of this beautiful island, and I'm here with him today. Hello, first of all, good morning. What's going on in Comino? I mean, you've created a digital map.
We are doing the Blue Lagoon Rehabilitation, which is all about balancing nature and experience, specifically visitor experience, and how we interact with the island, but really putting nature first. As you know, it's suffering pressures from tourism, like a lot of beautiful sites in the world. The twin is the ultimate tool of studying the ecology, studying the context, allowing us to create the most sensitive form of reorganization of facilities from the moment we land and the moment we leave. But then it's such a great democratic tool to be able to share with the public, to share with all stakeholders, to go there. Today we're going to go to Blue Lagoon through this digital twin, and you're going to really be able to understand it in its entirety. I think plans and the day of plans, are need to slowly evolve out of them. And that we can then go on to co-create further, right?
What's the advantage of it? I'm imagining it's because you can make sure that any designs are based on actual pure real-world data, right? That's the intention.
It's the truth, right, of a space and of a place from every angle, from long distance, medium, short, aerial. That journey from Chircoa to Mjar and how you see the site, and you can now see it and understand it. And how can you even start to protect anything if you don't truly understand a space in it? So we have the main pathways of how we go around the site, and we are retaining the main pathways. But really, what's happened, and I just stand up to really emphasize this, is you see the pathways, right, that have happened, especially around the swimming zones and that degradation.
Which is that small bit is where the jetty is, right, at the moment.
So down here we are at the jetty. Down here we are at the heart of Blue Lagoon where there's swimming. A lot of swimming happens down here. This is the docking island where boats come in. There's more around here. So you see the impact.
And what are the blue? The blue
are nature trails that we are obviously keeping, right? You want to explore these beautiful heights. So a combination of establishing boundaries through identifying what the main paths are, really prescribing our pathway through them, but still leaving a bit of that derive aspect of go and explore the island. Knowing where key colonies of the Garrigue habitats exist, protecting them. You use education, use boundaries in the terms of ropes, and then where you get more precious sites, we actually bring back the rubble walls that are there and ring fence that footprint, right? It's about drawing a line where we as humans are allowed to go to.
So this part of the vision is actually recreating rubble walls that have been either lost or...
Exactly, particularly around the pressure site of the heart of Blue Lagoon where you see the most trampling, right? So
It's interesting, right, that some solutions involve going way back into the past. Because rubble walls have been part of our landscape for quite a while, and then somehow they stop being built.
Yes.
And now you're saying we should build them again.
Yes, and thank you for picking up on that. I mean, it's such an important part of our ancestry, right? And it goes two ways. They are the existing boundaries of Comino, and so if you're going to put up another wall, you have to draw upon what's existing, and that's what makes our island, right? Our craft, which becomes our culture, which gives you a sense of place and a sense of belonging. So it's using those in the right pathways. And where education and where boundaries may fail, we have enforcement, right? And we have a team there now. They've massively ramped up. I think there are around 30 operators as part of the team. And so we position these checkpoints upon the trails, and we enforce where possible. And so that's the system, and all of that leads us to do the biggest garrigue rehabilitation we've ever done on Comino, which is up to 35,000 square meters of protected paths which can heal and grow back. And I think that's how exciting that we can do that. Still on accessibility, we start with the extension of the swimming zone. So this year there was around a 12% increase to the swimming zone. There's an additional 8% here, and what that allows us to do is, and what's in it's becoming permanent, right? So in the past, it's only been seasonal, and that's a huge point that we can now protect it permanently. And I'll go in to show you some pictures of why.
So extending the swimming zones where the boats cannot
Exactly.
The boats are pushed a bit further out.
We're gonna come into that. So that extension of the swimming zone means that we substitute the jetty with a floating pontoon for the Comino ferries. And this is why we're doing it, right? To permanently protect the heart of Blue Lagoon, because this is December 2024, this is March 2025. Again, things have already improved since here, because now there is maritime enforcement of how it goes in. But having permanent protection means that you will not get this moving forward. Removing key docking points at the beginning, and all of that allows us to safeguard the marine environment as well, from spillage, from goods. We redistribute how goods get to the island from other points, and it allows us to bring peace to the heart of Blue Lagoon. You're seeing the power of the digital twin already, right? We're going there, Tim. Look what we've got.
That's
1,
very impressive, yeah.
2,
It's very
4, 5 landing points, a cement bridge, cement all the way around. And now we can go there, and let's look at all the concrete.
And there's that niche there as well.
Exactly, yes, there's a niche. Let's look at the concrete that's gone down, right? We've got sandbags everywhere, concrete. It's been a series of sort of unchecked, unregulated growth. And how do you solve that, right? You go in, like if any growth that you may have, or a lesion that's unwanted,
You have to remove it. Yeah.
you have to cut it out. You have to extract all of that concrete. And how do you then heal? Right? You reconstruct with an ecological match, which is stone, tal awi, and you then
Can you just go back to the slide? Because what are these images exactly?
Here we're just sort of showing the mood that
Okay.
we have a history.
But say, for example, this is how you think the step should look like.
Well,
right?
it's more that we have a history of sculpting stone, right? Of carving stone. And we have come from an island of limestone, and there are ways of doing stepping stones and things that are light, skimming stones. So we're just sort of building
There could be stepping stones in the Blue Lagoon.
Well, it's more about stepping lightly through balanced landing pads, and then that healing of extraction, of reconstruction through an ecological match, which is really a geological match of limestone, is then shaped by functionality, right? And what are the functionalities that we need? We need safe passage, right? We need space to be able to move. We need that safe passage to be a nature-compatible design. And it needs to be maintainable. We need corrosive-free railings that can be made out of resin. We need stone that can be rehammered every 5 years to keep slip resistance. And when you combine that functionality, that health and safety, that ecology, with the topographic parts of the island, that's how we can harmonize our landing points in line with the way it forms. And that's the process, that's the formula that we've used to both heal the island and reconstruct it through the functionalities of our needs, right? So you've seen the cement bridge is now a stone bridge, and then all of it is enveloped by our stone rubble wall system. And here you really see, right? I mean, have a look at this next part. I mean, that is an absolute, and I think it's really important to convey this point to the public.
Is this near going down to the Blue Lagoon though?
This is the docking island just at the beginning of Blue Lagoon, right? But we are absolutely minimizing concrete, right? Cutting all the concrete out and replacing it with stone. And I think that's a really important part for people to understand. And why stone? Because it's local, it's low carbon, so we can have a really good environmental footprint. Now we go up.
It looks much nicer as well.
It's natural. Yeah. It's now we go up to the information center and enforcement center. So as you just saw, we have an old building here with broken down walls. It's used to be the part where waste was kept. It's a toilet block. Now it's being used also for the administrative team. It's massively over capacity. And the intention is to create a proper information center that also has community rooms for all the NGOs to do their work, proper first aid. We recently had a death on the island, so having proper first aid and ambulance to attend to visitors is so important. And then we move out of that and you see the next steps, right? So the creation of an information center has been made possible through the reappropriation of the existing facilities within that information center, namely the toilet block and the waste management, into the creation of appropriate facilities. So appropriate toilets, lockers, appropriate waste management. We have a lot of waste to hold and then immediately disperse from the island. Can we even process that waste with NGOs such as Friends of the Earth who want to use biodigesters, who want to support permaculture? And that's what it's about, right? It's about, we've taken you so far through accessibility and how we limit our footprint, establishing boundaries. That's one of the biggest ways we safeguard the terrestrial ecosystem. The waste management protects bird life, right? Because our waste is what brings rats. Our waste is what brings pests. And so that is step 5, sanitation and waste management. We now drop off our waste from multiple other points subjects to weather. But again, can we process it centrally one day? Amazing. Can we have a whole circular zero waste system? Why not? And then we get into the food and beverage reorganization and the kiosks, right? Which have obviously been growing over the years. Over the years, we've gone from sort of 2 kiosks to 9 to 11 kiosks. And then in summer, it sort of swells and has gotten to around 15. We know that these have to go and that they're an eyesore, and it's been a big part of the brief, right, from MTA, which is their reorganization. They come in a variety of sizes and colors, and not just food, right? It's also lockers and souvenirs and things that come in these kiosks. So what we're doing is we are shifting the food and beverage offering, upgrading it with proper resting, shaded areas that we can be comfortable with, shifting that concentration of people from the heart up to an existing car park, which is filled with cars doing nothing, and spreading that operation of limiting one kiosk down below, which can only sell water and ice cream and soft ice cream. Why? To minimize any waste getting into the lagoon, and having food up top. It's about nourishment with a view in many senses. I mean, look at the beautiful views you have from this car park, right? It's truly incredible. And here you really start to understand just what space we're talking about. What was previously a really tense quite dangerous narrow walkway now has space to really walk and breathe and enjoy a moment, and then having key information points that can tell you about the bird life, that can tell you about the geomorphology of how Comino was formed.
That's the singular kiosk.
That's the singular kiosk, and you walk down, and this is the stone-faced jetty and all the health and safety railings. And now let's see what that looks like from coming down from one of the nature trails that we are reopening up. You can see just how dense it was, and that's how tight it was. And now
Frees up a lot of space.
so much space, right? And now we move into where that food and beverage has been reappropriated and into an area that is now an extension of the landscape. It's what you're seeing is an extension of the Garrigue landscape held through old rubble walls and then really inspired by our girnas. It's channeling ancestry, nature, and a celebration of craft with technology.
Yeah, and it's currently a disused car park.
It's currently a disused car park. It's the one area where there is some encroachment upon the Garrigue, but the roof itself increases biodiversity, coupled with the 35,000 square meters of Garrigue that we're rehabilitating.
Yeah.
So this is massively a regenerative project, and we bring it down by a meter to also really, so we excavate down by a meter, so it really just sits as an extension of the landscape. So as I mentioned before, ancestry, our girnas, the rubble walls, our craft and the lavur we have, we're master stone makers. We've always been since prehistory. Let's carry on that tradition. Let's fuse it with technology. And I'd like to think that if our ancestors were still around, and I guess they live through us, we're here carrying on that story, that this is how we should be building. And that's how we get to this expression of architecture. Even the waste management system is a girna which gets cut in half and then just gets opened up. And then what does that look like inside? It is a fluted celebration of craft that we've seen in our Galizia churches.
It's actually better to enjoy some food over there.
Where did those it originally get inspired from? From tree branches. Underutilized.
They look like trees,
But so they look like trees, but they also look like the vaults in our ceilings, which, by the way, were inspired by trees. So like, it's all connected, and it's actually the most beautiful way to see the lagoon from on top. Yes, and it's about supporting local produce, right? And we have Gosseton and Maltese farmers going out of work, right? We have no food security. We import 75% of our food. Create a supply chain and celebrate our watermelons and our citrus fruits and our pomegranates and our prickly pears, and that is what tourists want. They want authenticity, right? There's the Amalfi lemon juices and drinks, right? That is so synonymous with going to Amalfi. We have it all here, and it's so unique. So, and again, that comes back to sustainability. And again, we grow out of that and have unified branding and biodegradable branding. No brand, right? It's just the island speaks for itself. Abolishing plastic. And even going further, then, whilst it's great you can have biodegradable packaging, it still needs to biodegrade, whereas you can have reusable cups, which is what Friends of the Earth are advocating for, the creation of a Comino cup that at the end of the day goes into a cleaning station, gets cleaned, and then gets reused. Or maybe you buy it as a souvenir. So these are the solutions.
Blue Lagoon has a rating of 3.7 on TripAdvisor.
Yes.
Which is technically above average, but I don't know. I feel it can be much higher. What do you think?
Yeah, so it almost feels wrong talking about Blue Lagoon in numbers and stars of because it just, yeah.
Yes, I know, because
Feels wrong to know, I know, but look, it's such a magical, almost sacred space, right? It's way beyond, if we're going to talk stars, it's way beyond 5 stars, right? It's unstarable, so to speak. It's just, so if it will, you know, it is massively surpasses that. And
nowadays, if establishments or places suffer on these sites, then fewer people will visit them, because people tend to go first to these sorts of sites, see what people are saying, and if there's just a ton of negative comments, it could even be negative from a tourism perspective as well.
Well, that's exactly it, right? So you have the economic and reputational risks that stem from all of that degradation. Because the truth is, where nature degrades, nothing stands, right? That's the foundations of Blue Lagoon. That's the foundations of the ecology of it. They all stack upon the beauty of nature, and which is why we have to safeguard it. It is the paradox of beauty, right? It attracts, and we attract, right? I think we have to, Tim, also just talk about the wider context of Malta, right? Malta is incredibly culturally rich. It's one of the most culturally rich countries in the world. You know, we have, from prehistory to the Knights, our own independence. We've been colonized by every empire. We're the middle of Middle Earth. We have the most incredible weather all year round, whereas Europe really suffers from gloomy days. We can swim 6-9 months of the year. We speak English. You know, we have huge business benefits. So all of that brings and attracts a lot. Yeah? And now we have pressures from migration. Like, all of this comes into this absolutely beautiful microcosm of an island that suffers from all the pressures that humanity has globally, but you feel it most here. And that's why 2 billion going to 8 billion in 100 years, with a globally accessible world of flights, subsidized flights, brings this, and the whole world has been caught out by the shortcoming of understanding exponential growth. That's where traffics come from. That's where all of these pressures come from. But we can't solve them, right? We can design ourselves out of them, and we can lead here in Malta.